So it's going to add a lot of color and dimension through underneath, where you can see she is pretty dark underneath here. So now we're going to start with our V. I'm going to come down the middle, and then I'm going to come up. Going down the middle helps keep it really balanced with making the V. And then we're going to comb up, and then you want to work with some hairspray. Today I'm going to be working with a Aquage. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lightly spray. And what that light spray is going to do is it's going to get all those baby hairs up. And then I'm using a little tiny boar brush to help smooth it all up in here, because she's got some baby hairs in here. Here's the cylinders, you guys, the I-tip cylinders. What you can see is we have the big bottom down and then the normal top up. So I always say big booty side down. And then I don't think right here at the very bottom, you guys can see that's wefting cylinders. And this is the I-tip right above them. The difference between the two is the wefts have silicone in them and the I-tips don't, because the I-tips have rubberized tips that go. So we're going to come and I follow the same sectioning from below. It's kind of like when you're doing a foil. You want to make sure there's no crosshairs underneath. And then we're going to come back in and we're going to take another vertical rectangle section, making sure there's no crosshairs in it. We're going to take our little looper. We're going to put it right up to the scalp. We're going to take our cylinder, push it up, pinky out, hook it, I-tip. And then we're going to take our I-tip right here. So it has, these I-tips are rubberized at the tip. So when it goes into the cylinders, it is protecting her natural hair from that cylinder. And then I like to kind of move it around and see where it's at, make sure no elevation. 1, 2, 3. And we're just going to keep stacking them side by side. And then we're going to come up. And this is a V section. So it's going to kind of start to go in an upward angle. Checking for crosshairs, pulling it down. Taking my loop, and we're going to place it right at the scalp as close as you can. Take your cylinder, push it up, pull through, and I'm going to hook my pinky. I'm holding this I-tip. I'm holding the cylinder with my pointer finger. I'm going to place the I-tip inside of the cylinder, and see how it's poking up right there? What I'm going to do is we're going to lower it down, and we're going to make sure that this cylinder goes above that I-tip right there, and we're going to clamp it 3 times. It's so important to make sure that the I-tip is not sticking out, or else she's going to have a really irritated scalp. As you guys can see, these guys that we have right here, you want no crosshairs underneath and up above. And then we're going to come through, we're going to section it just like we would for a foil. We're going to take a vertical section, and you guys can ask questions if you have any questions. These are Hairlocks I-tips, and I'm using dark brown micro cylinders I-tip. And you can make your life easier if you hand your I-tips to your client, or you can get a tray that holds them. So we're going to push that I-tip all the way up, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower down that elevation, and then we're going to make sure that we're right up to it. 1, 2, 3. And we're just going to come right here. I wonder if this chair goes. Ah, yes. You just flew down. Okay. That's so much better for me, though. All right, you guys, don't want to make you sick. I just want to make it like that. There we go. Now I can actually get in here. We're going to slice. We're going to come through. We're going to take a vertical rectangle. We're going to check for crosshairs underneath and make sure it's nice and neat. Because if she gets any crosshairs, then it's going to pull and it's going to hurt and it's going to create tension. And we don't want that. Take the cylinder, push it all the way up to her scalp, pull that through, loop the pinky, I-tip. We're going to take the I-tip, we're going to push it into the cylinder. In the cylinder, I push it above the cylinder right there. Because what I do is when I pull down to have no elevation, you can see the I-tip is slightly above the cylinder. I'm going to move the cylinder right above it. 2, 3. We're going to come back in. We're going to take another slice like we would for a highlight. Vertical. And this is literally what I'm going to be doing, you guys. Hold the cylinder close to the head. Take the I-tip. Push it through. Grab my pliers. Lower the elevation. Push it up. And as you guys can see, these I-tips are following each other. I don't have any that are up or down and being super crazy. Come in, and I like to take my left hand and hold down the hair as I slice it. It just keeps any of these crosshairs from coming underneath, and it keeps your section nice and clean. Vertical. That's too much hair. Just a little bit thinner. Now, if her hair was a lot more finer, then I'd go in and I would take longer rectangle sections. Take the cylinder, push it all the way up to the scalp. We're going to hold that cylinder with our pointer finger. We're going to take our I-tip. We're going to push that I-tip all the way in. Grab our pliers. We're going to lower our elevation. Pull that. Push up that cylinder. 1, 2, 3. Left hand down on the hair. Take a slice. So these are Hair Locks I-tips. Hair Locks is the only extensions that I use. I'm exclusive with them. They have the highest quality hair. Every single batch gets checked. It's ethically sourced, which I find very, very important, because with hair extensions, you can end up getting extensions that are not ethically sourced, and we do not want to support any of that. So being with Hair Locks has been super important for me, with making sure that they align with what my morals with hair extensions are. And I think that's what prevented me from doing hair extensions for so long, because it was finding a brand that ethically sourced, that had really good quality. And you can see this hair is just like, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. we're going to hold down, come right through. Push in the Q-tip. I-tip. And I-tips are really fun too to just add color. You can do hybrid installs with them. So like if your client has super light density on the sides of their head and you don't feel like a weft should be there, that's when I-tips are going to be most ideal for your client. Because they're going to be lighter. They give 360 degrees of movement. And we also have half points. So these are full point I-tips. Half points are half the size, and then you get the hair is half the size as well. When it comes to picking out the color for their roots, I always say it's better to pick darker than lighter, because if you pick lighter, it can look like light specks at their scalp, and we do not want that. We want it to really blend in really well with them. And I-tips are one of Hairlock's best sellers as well. Turn that. It's more of a rectangle. Then versus when I am doing wefts, they're gonna have a rectangle horizontal, if that makes sense. Take your looper straight up to the scalp, take your cylinder, push it straight up, and we're gonna make sure we hold that cylinder right at her scalp with my pointer finger. And then we're gonna take our I-tip and we are going to push it in, and then we are going to lower our elevation, and we're going to make sure that that tip of the I-tip is not coming through. So it's slightly peeking, so I'm going to make sure I move that cylinder up above it, 0 elevation, and clamping down 3 times. Come through, hold down the hair, slice down to the depth you want, and usually I take it and I'm matching right below where I was there. So I'm slicing to meet it. I'm gonna have you slightly look down, Jay. And then I'm gonna do a rectangle section and making sure that this section is nice and clean. But then I wanna make sure too that there's enough density in this amount of hair that is going into the cylinder so that when I do her refusion, a refusion is when she comes in 4 to 6 weeks, she has her outgrowth, and then we move everything back up. How many do you have left?
1.
1? Okay. So far I have gone through 1 pack on her head. We're gonna lower the elevation. Clamp 3 times, and then I have to grab the second pack. I'm gonna finish this last one that she has that she's holding. Come through, hold down, slice, meet the other side so we have the same density, the same sections, no crosshairs underneath. Come through, take our vertical rectangle, and then I'm going to take my looper. There's something I don't like about this. I think it looks really clean. I think it's right here. And you'll feel it once you start to do these enough. I literally can feel it in my fingers when it doesn't feel how it should. Take my looper. And I'm always wanting to make sure that my shoulders are square to the section that I'm doing. Since I'm showing you guys today, that is not how I'm doing it, but that's how we make sure that we don't get any weird elevation. Everything is very symmetrical. It's just like when you're doing a haircut. You want to make sure that everything is square and even. Bringing that cylinder just above that K-tip. If I weren't to bring this cylinder below the top of her I-tip, the I-tip is going to push into her scalp. So this is how it comes, and it has the little silver tie that goes around it. The best way to get it off is hold your I-tips. You're going to grab this guy and you're going to pull it down. And sometimes these are on really tight. Do not cut on that because you will actually cut into the extensions. So I tell her to hold these for me, and she's going to peel them down like a banana and hand me one at a time.